Hey, what's up? I'm Ben, and today we're going to talk a little bit about my 2002 Nissan Xterra. Also, if you're following along with the 12 valve build, right now I'm stripping the frame down, and it is a very messy, dirty, and time-consuming process. So the next video is being filmed right now, but there's definitely going to be a delay for at least a few days while I get that thing stripped down, and then that next video will be stripping the frame down. So I've actually had this old sack of turds for about a decade. I bought this in 2010, actually traded my buddy. I had a second gen Ram that was a half-ton. At the time, I was very deep into my video business, and I had a lot of gear that I was bringing all sorts of places, so I needed something with a lot more cab space. So at the time, he needed a pickup truck, and it was just a perfect trade. I traded him a 2000 Ram 1500 with, let's say, 110,000 clicks, and he had this 2002 Xterra with 130,000 clicks or something like that. So it was a pretty even trade. And anyways, I've had this thing on so many adventures. I live in Vancouver here, but I've driven it down to Las Vegas probably like maybe 3 or 4 times, and down the coast of California. We've had it in New Mexico, and all over Utah and Montana, and all sorts of just massive trips we've gone on in this thing. And it's no powerhouse. It's actually pretty sluggish, but it just gets you there. It keeps on running. It's got about 260,000 kilometers now, which is, I don't know, 150,000 miles or something like that. And anyways, so we have a lot of history, a lot of fun adventures on this. And as you can see here, this is the world's ugliest bumper that I made myself. This was by far the biggest metalworking project I've ever gotten into. You might look at it and think, wow, that's disgusting. You'd probably be right, but I put so much work into this, you would not believe it. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, why an Xterra? I'm obviously into Dodge trucks. I mean, Jeep seems like such an obvious choice. And you're right, at some point I would like to have a Jeep, but because I have so much history with this thing, and because I already have it, it runs perfectly. It's got basically zero rust anywhere. I mean, underneath, anything like that. I mean, the exhaust system is a little rusted out on it, but I mean, that's it. The thing is in incredibly good shape. The problems are, though, I mean, what I want to do with this is a pretty extensive list. I mean, I want to put 40-inch tires. I'm going to stretch out the wheelbase, and I'm going to show you something that should make that look kind of cool. So as you can see right here, this wheel well is already pretty filled up with these tires. These are 265 70 16s, which I think when they're new are about 30.5 inches or so. But you can imagine a 40-inch tire. I mean, it's probably going to be standing, somewhere up around here. And I don't just want to tear the wheel well out. So what I'm thinking about doing is extending this piece here. So I want to trim it here and cut this out like that, and then just slide the whole thing back towards the tail light, and fill in a piece with this similar contour here, and that way it'll keep the similar kind of look of a fitted wheel well. Up front will be a very similar thing. Section this in here. Possibly I'll try and pick up a couple of used fenders from a junkyard or something like that, but this would sort of be split in half, slid way forward, and then have a patch piece in there. Obviously the bird nuggets are going to stay. I mean, I would want to clear coat those. I have to say, though, I have always kind of liked the look of these things, especially the first gen ones. I like all of them, but these, they got a real chiseled sort of angular look to them. I wouldn't say that's quite a military look necessarily, but it definitely is unique. There's a couple of problems that come with it, though, that really, to do what I want to do with this, they need to be addressed. I mean, the big cheesy plastic bumpers, I've obviously pulled the front one off already, but that's got to go. And this is going to be, a vehicle on 40s. Right now it's on tires that are about 30 inches or so. And I don't want to just jack it up to the sky and have clearance. So what I'm going to do is extend the wheelbase out. I'm probably going to, this is a 104-inch wheelbase now, and I'm going to go to 116, which is what the 4-door Jeep JKs are. I guess maybe the new Jeeps as well, but the 4-door Jeeps are also 116-inch wheelbase, and I've seen enough of videos of those things going up all kinds of crazy terrain. I'm sure that'll be plenty fine. So this might be a little hard to see with it being black, but there's a dent right here from some guy running into me. Don't care. There's some other ones up here from when that tent thing crashed in on itself. Obviously I could get a new fender for this side, but you know, whatever. I mean, this thing's going to be out in the bush and it's probably going to get dented up some more. Obviously, once I start cutting up the fenders and getting into all that sort of stuff, the paint is going to be pretty chewed up. So, you know, I'm not quite sure what the paint will be. Possibly another Raptor liner situation, or maybe just a bunch of spray cans or whatever. I mean, we'll get there when we get there. But like I say, this thing's going to be all about going out and using it. I mean, the quality of the paint is going to be pretty far down the list. So this thing will probably be getting a V8 at some point. I currently have a 6-liter LQ4 sitting in my shop. The plan is probably to put that in the Dakota, but I really have to plan a little bit on just how much power the Dakota is going to need. Most likely the Magnum 5.9 out of the Dakota with the automatic transmission would be going in here, and then I would possibly look at getting something like an Atlas 2 or an Atlas 4 transfer case that would just bolt right up to the back of the transmission in the Dakota. So that stuff's a little bit up in the air, but definitely 1-ton axles, 40-inch tires, and most likely a V8 in this thing, and that should make it for a pretty fun vehicle. It would be kind of neat to go in the direction of maybe like a bit better suspension where you could actually hit some bumps going fast and have it not just as a rock crawler, but kind of a fun all-around off-road thrasher. So one of the other things about this that's not so great is that the fuel mileage as it's gotten older is really bad. And because it doesn't have any power, it makes it really hard to deal with. So my Dakota, the fuel mileage isn't great on that either, but at least it's kind of sporty and fun to drive. So it's like you get V8 fuel economy with 4-cylinder power. So this thing, the engine runs great, but it is definitely a V8 swap into here would be quite a nice vehicle. Whether this comes next or the Dakota is tough to say, but you know, this was supposed to be the big project. Before I ever even got into the Dodge Ram at all, and before I owned the Dakota or the Mac, you know, this was it. I was going to turn this into a crazy sort of off-road rock crawler thing, and you know, I bought some axles for it, and the plan was to do that, and then I just got completely sidetracked with the Ram, and that has been a pretty crazy couple of years messing around with that. So it's tough to say what the next vehicle is going to be. Obviously the Dakota, I want to build that and I want to go fast, and you know, it'd be fun to go and do some things like Pikes Peak or some stuff like Hot Rod Drag Week or those kind of things. Like, I would really like to go do that. But this is more of a family thing. I mean, this thing has tons of room inside. It's quite a small vehicle. It's probably like about as wide as a side-by-side or maybe a bit wider, but you know, it's warm and dry, and especially in a place like BC where I live, especially on the coast, I mean, it's very rainy here. So the nice thing about this is that it's an excellent family vehicle, and maybe that's going to be, you know, one of the next steps. So it's tough to say what's coming next down the pipeline, either this or the Dakota, but either way, big plans for this thing. You know, obviously be caged up inside. I want to do a double triangulated 4-link suspension in the rear, which is going to mean the fuel tank's got to be removed. I'll have to put a sump down in the floor. I'll have to put a fuel cell down in the floor where the spare tire would normally go here, and it's going to be a huge project. As I've mentioned, I'm moving next year. I don't really know exactly what my next shop situation is going to be like, so there's a lot of unknowns, but I figured it was time to get this thing on here. This thing is near and dear to my heart, and now that I have the Ram completely stripped apart, this is my daily driver again. It's kind of winter here in Vancouver right now, and me and my wife and daughter are going skiing a lot, so this is definitely better than the Dakota for going up and doing that. In the future, yeah, I'd love to have a Jeep, and I know all the aftermarket bolt-on stuff would be just so nice to deal with it, but I really do want to get in there and figure this stuff out and fabricate a bunch of parts and really just make something custom and unique. Anyways, let's see if this old sack of turds will do some donuts. Well, brake stand donuts are the only way I could get it done, but whatever, she still boogies a little bit. Anyways, that's about it for today. Please like and subscribe. If you want to get a shirt or a hoodie, I got some of those. There's a link below in the description. Please check out the other stuff on the channel. I'm trying to have a pretty good variety. I need to get out on the quad and I need to get the Dakota out ASAP, but I'm so busy with the big truck project. And like I said on another one, I have to get this done because I am moving in about 6 or 7 months. So anyways, thanks for watching. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you have a good day. Take care.